Hello, 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 everyone. Hello, Ansan, Cricoils, Barot. Hello, everyone. Hope everyone's doing great. Pepperoni Fages. Hello, hello, hello. Let me know if you can hear me well. If everything's fine. Plan for today's stream. Hello, Aris. Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Welcome for today's stream. Should be an interesting one for a potentially trappy day. It's a FOMC day plus earning days after a small spike into the must reclaim previous must hold level. So yeah, it's gonna be an interesting day. Probably not the best one to position yourself aggressively through the day. Likely very trappy, uh, but could also come with its share of answer, which to me remains about SPX capacity to defend H4 trend and to keep going, BTC to defend daily trend and keep going, and or at the opposite, obviously SPX topping a little bit and Bitcoin basically breaking its recent market structure on lower time frame and coming for the full daily trend retests, which to me are the most, yeah, the main things of interest, probably the main thing everyone's watching. So yeah, I'm gonna wait for a couple of minutes for people to join and then we'll start. We have, yeah, I would say 1 hour. So yeah, plan for the stream. Obviously, we discussed Bitcoin H4, Bitcoin daily update a little bit, what we've been looking for, what are the main things to watch, what are, in my opinion, the main focuses to have, main scenarios, obviously, main gaps of interest, but you can see them already on the chart, right? And then chat requests until the end of the stream. We did a lot of chat requests yesterday on stream in the Haven, so uh, that's the least we did yesterday. Quite a lot of updates, quite a lot of chat requests, but that also means that if they're on your list, they're probably already covered, so that should be nice. That should be nice. And yeah, and I hope everyone's doing great. I hope that recent trading for everyone has been doing okay. Market has been market has been weird in the sense that it's been sweet. We've had a nice Bitcoin bounce, a nice move from mid 60s to almost 80, which unfortunately got denied by the 78.5, 79.5 level. And we've also had some alts doing some moves. We've had Zcash, we've had Monad, which has been shitting the bed past few days, but before that had a nice run. We've had VVV, obviously, that went very well. Also retesting the daily trend. I did well and got denied recently also. But what I'm trying to say is that there has been some moves to capture across the board and a little bit of trending considering the market conditions. But obviously what everyone's has in mind, what everyone's seeing mostly, in my opinion, is the fact that we are still very much only bouncing within the weekly downtrend, while SPX basically bounced off of daily 300 MA all the way up to all-time high, which has been a theme for quite some time, right, for crypto to outperform on the way down and underperform on the way up. But it is how it is. You take what the market gives you. And I think it's been also a very good reminder of what trading within a bear market is all about, which is being patient, capturing any kind of moves offered by the market, and remaining a take profit maximalist. So I hope that it's been the case for you guys. Personally, I can't say I've been extremely active. Um, I've been struggling to share setups and to hold anything for longer than a couple of weeks. The only positions that I've been managing to hold for some time recently have been a little bit of Bitcoin exposure and a VV long that I've been on. Basically, things that are in daily uptrends and define daily uptrends for VV and for BTC, obviously. It's been the case since mid 60s, since 70, I would say. But yeah, not much. I can't say that I'm very satisfied with my recent trading. I always think that I can do better, but I definitely feel like didn't play aggressively enough, I would say. But still, again, it's a bear market mostly, so you take what you get. and you survive until the much easier conditions are back on the table, basically. So yeah, that's just a small rant. I've seen other people do very great across the board. I've seen some people on City do fantastically well. Um, and it's been nice. It's been nice. I don't know for you guys, but it feels like the feed has been much more, my feed at least, has been much more filled with charts and crypto content more than anything else. Maybe it's been a slight change in the algo, or maybe it's just me hallucinating, or just me maybe interacting more with people sharing charts, and therefore I'm being pushed more crypto content on the feed. But I've noticed a slightly improvement, and it's been interesting to see. Hopefully it's gonna keep going that way. That's also a very bear market thing, right? Every bear markets, you have a first wave where the market is hit and the community is hit by obviously a big sentiment of depression, and that nothing will ever come back. Then you have very often followed by a long boring period of time, and it's usually where you can notice some new traders. Either some new traders, either old traders from previous cycles, more on your feed and back at posting setups, back at posting content, instead of the usual bull market shit where we praise the tier celebs launching meme coins, basically. So hopefully it's a trend that's gonna keep going, even if the market is not particularly nice. At least we are gaining traction again on CT for those who are sharing charts, so that's nice. All right, with that being said, yesterday's main idea in the update share on CT was that for the first time of the entire move up, we've had the conditions for the H4 trend to be lost. For those who might be new to the stream or might be new to the system, one of the rules I have to consider a trend to be lost is when I have the confluence of a close below the trend itself and -1 time frame 200 EMA lost. For example, if I'm tracking an H4 trend, like it's been the case recently, I will consider the trend to be lost when we have a close below H4 trend and H1 200 EMA not defended. We can see that on our way up on these charts. We've had some deviations below H4 trend, but every time H1 200 EMA gave some nice defense. We've had this one, which was, in my opinion, the nastiest one, because we closed below both, but instantly reclaimed it. And this time around, we had a significant close below H4 trend and below H1 200 EMA. So the main idea yesterday was, okay, H4 trend is lost. The system calls for a gap fill to H4 100 EMA, which would be the first must hold. And basically at this point, the situation would be defend H4 trend, defend H4 100 EMA at 75.8. If lost, initiate gap fill to H4 200 EMA, the red gap you see, and 70.0, 77.0 up to 77.5, which was the previous must hold. Now, obviously, a must reclaim, basically, and a level that we want to see reclaimed, that we want to see H4 back above, to consider that it's saved, basically. And we can see that we came for H4 100 MA, it showed some defense, and we bounce right into the must reclaim, previous must hold, and so far got denied. That was the classic bounce into New York Open on a FOMC day. That was immediately retraced. I don't know if it's been news fueled off of the news that we've had that Trump and oil companies discussed to continue their Iran blockade for months if needed. I don't know if that's the news that basically pushed that or not. All I know is that for our imaginary lines on the chart, it's been well respected. So the good thing is that because yesterday's update has been pretty on point and well respected, well, we can simply stick to it. And it's still very much a case, in my opinion, of defend H4 100 MA, which at this point I think you can prolong all the way down to yesterday's week low. And the must reclaim remains the must reclaim, and it's even more obvious now with the rejection that we've seen pre-New York Open. So I would not be surprised if, unless any news until FOMC and until the earnings, I would not be surprised if until tonight, we basically chop better around here. When with H4 trends being disrespected, basically. I would not be surprised if we get that, but if we do not, then in my opinion, the triggers to expect lower would be losing H4 100 MA, destroying yesterday's week, in which case we will get to H4 200 MA, and to me, it's going to be the big test on what we should be expecting from Bitcoin, and to me, it's going to be the bull bear distinction, and what would make me flip from cautiously optimistic because daily uptrend to expecting bigger retraces. We'll see that on the daily chart in a minute. And obviously at the opposite, if we see some strength, we want to see today's week broken at 77.8. And if that's the case, I think we're gonna read the highs, the equal highs that we've printed at the beginning of the week. Equal highs, I didn't discuss it, but in yesterday anticipation to see a retrace into H4 100 MA, the market structure also played a role, as it was the first time since we started our way up that we ended up with equal highs and not a higher high, which makes me think that maybe this is a more standard way of calling things. But yeah, so that in addition to H4 trend being lost, H1 200 MA not being defended yesterday, the fact that we failed to print a new high compared to previous legs up was also, to me, a early signs of caution. And the 78.5, 79.5 was, in my opinion, not a random place to see some retrace. It's been on our chart on the daily time frame for the recent updates also. That's from last week, and basically we had this region 78.5, 79.5 as the must break. Basically, in my opinion, the last resistance before going for a try into daily 200 MA. I didn't know how much weight this level would have, considering that to me it struck to me as a potentially important level, mostly because it was the only place we consolidated for a bit before legging down another time in early February. But at the same time, I've discussed it with some other people who told me, well, how much of a significant level it is, considering that we didn't necessarily spend too much time over there on the way down. And I agreed with that argument, but still, to me, I had the level marked out on the chart, and we can see that, yeah, unfortunately, it's been basically at a clear must break. So now on the daily time frame, which in my opinion is where we're gonna get most of our answers. Unsurprisingly, it's a fight for the daily trend. It's been the same daily trend since 79K, and the good thing, in my opinion, is that with the recent consolidation, daily trend got some time to catch up with price. It's now in the 74.3 up to 76, 76.3, 76.4. The higher it gets, the better it is, because the higher the invalidation for short-term continuation. And yeah, to me, if not defended, if we fail to flip these highs from early March, mid-March plus daily trends, then in my opinion, we are bound to either get some sort of a week back inside the range, and then you pray the gods that it shows a strong reaction and the market has basically fucked everyone in the ass before moving to daily 200 MA. Or it's just the early signal that the bear market rally is over, and that at the very best you should expect more chop fest, if not new lows, basically. So if I summarize things, focus on the daily trend fights. To me, it's still the best focus to have. It's been defended in 69K. It's been retested a few times on the way up. It's fighting to, it's close to fight to fully. When I say fully, it's down to daily 32 MA. If lost, remember what I said earlier about what constitutes a trend loss. That would be a close below it plus H4 200 MA not defended. So we can mark the H4 200 MA on the chart so that it can be a little bit cleaner. But yeah, another part on this rule of the -1 time frame 200 MA initially one of the reasons I made this rule was that I could be more fluid when exiting positions or entering positions. Basically, if I was waiting for a trend to be lost or a trend to be reclaimed before executing, and I was focused on a daily trend, I wanted to have a rule that allows me to don't have to wait for the daily to close, for example, or the H4 to close or the H1 to close, and be able to execute midway on the candle formation. And that's the idea behind this rule, meaning that if at some point we get a daily that gets all the way down, and during the process of that daily candle, H4 200 EMA is lost, flip resistance, whatever, then it's enough of a signal to get out, basically. Okay, and on H4, I've already said it. We spent the first minute of the stream on it, but still the same focuses as yesterday. H4 100 EMA as a must hold. As I said, you can probably go down as yesterday's week low as a place you want to see defended. And obviously we just saw it today. The must reclaim, the 77.0 up to 77.8 is the must break / must reclaim. And therefore the two main gaps of interest where I believe there could be scalps to chase would be a scalp on the way down to H4 200 EMA on the loss of yesterday's lows plus H4 100 EMA, or a scalp up back to the local highs and eventually daily 200 EMA if the market gods are kind enough in if we reclaim this region, basically. And I believe that anything in between is probably going to chop the fuck out of you. Alright, that's it for Bitcoin H1 and Bitcoin Daily. I don't know if you guys have any question. The good thing with those kind of updates is that, yeah, this is pretty much everything that we discussed yesterday for those who are in the Haven, or for those who are watching the updates on CT. So nothing new. But the good thing is that, as I said, both of the main areas of interest discussed were defended, were retested, and therefore it gives them even more value, in my opinion, as focuses to have. So yeah, we can move on to chat requests. I don't know if you guys have any chat requests you would want me to take a look at, but if you do, that's the moment. If you don't, I will simply go through the recent chat requests I've had in the Haven, and we'll see if anything interesting moved in the process or not, and yeah, see if anything of interest comes out of it. It's unlikely that I personally trigger a new trade today until tonight. That feels like a pretty trappy day, but why not? Okay, let's get the block nut out. Hype, XMR, AV, Morpho, Pengu, Chip. Okay. Let's get to it. I know that some of them were already covered in yesterday's chat requests, so that should help. Let's start with hype. I did not discuss hype yesterday on stream, but I've been watching it, obviously, as it's been fighting with the daily trends, and I've been contemplating the idea of positioning myself over the past 2 days, mostly because, as you can see, retest of the daily trends. We can see some drawings from recent streams, but basically what's held me back to do so has been this price action over here, this daily candle. My initial plan, after completely missing these retest and this reclaim into the leg up, my plan after missing all of that was to wait and see if that orange box would flip support as previous local highs, consolidation. And ideally, I wanted to see daily trends being defended that way. I wanted to see daily trend catch up with price, this level flip support, and I wanted to position myself on such retests. Basically, I was looking for the big, maybe after missing this entire leg up, I wanted to have a good enough confluence to to get into a position. Basically, I wanted to make sure that I was not succumbing to the FOMO of buying after a leg up. So I let this daily candle happen, and fortunately, as you can see, this daily candle for me is what has held me back over the past few days to buy back some hype. Failed to flip previous side supports, failed to defend daily 13 EMA and daily trends, came back to retest it, flipped it resistance again, not defending the daily trend. So maybe it's another case of me overthinking hype, and just like it did in this region, it's going to deviate below the daily trends and eventually just blast through this region, and I will be out of the move and I will not benefit from this. But at the same time, I cannot justify longing this here, basically. I could see a world in the system where I tell myself I'm longing H for 13 EMA, 300 EMA, I have some low invalidation below the lows. Could see this play out, of course, but I've tried to keep my focus on the daily on hype, so I'm probably going to stick to it. So yeah, I think the main thing I'm going to do, and it's probably maybe it's gonna end up the same way that we discussed hype in this stream together, and in the recent updates that I did on CT for hype. I'm going to put some alerts back above this block that I consider to be pivotal on hype, and put some alerts back to this region again that was retested end of March. I already had some alerts over there. I'm not saying it necessarily gets there, especially, for example, if market keeps going and Bitcoin reclaims 78k and moves to daily 200 EMA, maybe I get left out if that's the case. But yeah, as I said, I didn't see enough of what I wanted to see in this region, and to be precise, this region, too long again. So my main take on hype is that no defense of daily trends X previous highs, that I wanted to see flip support for continuation. Setting some alerts back above this confluence at 43-ish, around 43, and down to daily EMA lower. But yeah, it's been. I said earlier that I did okay in the recent few weeks in the market, but that I was not particularly ecstatic about how I traded, and that I believe I could have made better moves. Well, I has been one of the things that has been where I believe I should have done better. I did okay capturing a move from this level to the must break, but I didn't keep the position going, and then I completely fumbled. I mean, I had all the reasons in my system at least to expect the gap fill. It never came, and then I missed the reclaim into the leg up. It's been one of the coins I've been a little bit frustrated not to be able to make the best of, to be honest. So maybe I simply just don't have the good read. Maybe I should adapt my approach. Maybe I should ditch the daily and focus more on lower time frame. But yeah. I'm gonna be sharing all the chat requests we cover today in Telegram, in the Telegram channel, for those who want to get back to these chat requests covered today on stream. And I will share the link of the Telegram in the chat if you want to join it, if you're not in, or if you want to go check the charts yourself, keep them for you, obviously. Actually, what I'm gonna do is this. It is not 2025 anymore, it's very much 2026. Okay. Hello, Midnight Alpha. How are you, man? We were just discussing hype and how I've been trash to trade it, basically, and what could be the plan for me, or at least the places of interest. Again, if you are a Aven member and you tag me and tell me I'm taking this setup or anything similar to that, I would probably tell you that it's a decent setup. EMMA wise, this is the place you want to see defended until further retrace. You have a good target to have with the confluence of the must break level we highlighted on the daily plus H4 100 MA. Maybe just consolidate that way for some time. But yeah, I've been more focused on the daily. Maybe I should change, but I'm gonna stick to the daily basically. Okay, XMR. Where did I charted this? I have a little XMR long ongoing. I just can't. Coinex, I think I tried. Yeah, this is the long that I'm in. It's been taken more on H4, H1. Usually, it's not a coin that I like to trade on lower time frame. This is a coin where this is one of the rare coins where I have a bag that I intend not to sell, that I've had for quite some time, to be honest, and that I've held for quite some time, that I did not even unload it on the recent turbo leg up to my maybe I should have had, but I did not. And yeah, usually it's a coin when I'm asked about it. The main thing I say is that I don't want to trade it. This is basically what I answered to Popeye yesterday on City. I really like to trade this one versus holding HTF position, but was tempting. Rest of market feeling really meh. So this is the same setup, by the way. And yeah, one of the reasons I usually dislike trading XMR on lower time frame is that it used to be pretty shit to trade on lower time frame, and much cleaner to just trade on higher time frame, which to me on XMR used to be weekly time frame, and generally just not a bag that I have the reflex to trade when it comes to privacy coins compared to Zcash, for example. But yeah, so I'm in this setup on XMR right now. It's not a big setup. The justification of the setup was retest of H4 trends plus defense of H1 200 MA into reclaim of H1 100 MA. Basically, at the opposite, if we did get this retest and XMR was denied over there, I would have held back and waited for a tighter compression. But because it got instantly back above H1 trend and H1 100 MA, I decided to pull the trigger. And at this point, I believe that I can actually tighten the setup, get the stop loss a little bit tighter, mostly because of H1 200 MA development, and because, in my opinion, if XMR gets back below this block over here, then it likely means that my current setup is invalidated and that we should expect more chop fast in this region. For hype, what makes you think H4 will stick? There is lots of daily. I don't think H4 will stick. I don't know. As I said, maybe I was not clear, but as I said, I am not taking the setup. I said if you told me that you take this setup, I would say, okay, it's a valid setup, EMMA wise, but that I was personally not taking it and that I would wait for my plan, which maybe, again, doesn't unfold the way I hope, but to basically wait for daily trend plus flip of that orange box. So I didn't say that I was expecting H4 to stick. I'm more saying that I'm actually sticking to the daily for that reason, because I don't necessarily am a big fan of lower time frame neither. But yeah, so on XMR, sorry, this is the setup. No worries, Uncle Flippy. If anything I yap is not clear, please don't hesitate to tell me. Uh, what can be clear in my French frog brain in English sometimes doesn't have to be. But yeah. So for XMR, yeah, this setup to me with this orange box, blue box, sorry, as must hold or setup likely invalidated into more jump tests. And I think this probably is a very good target one to have. Yeah. Maybe I can take a look at higher time frame rapidly for XMR also. Yeah, okay. I said earlier that I was usually more interested on higher time frame when it comes to XMR and weekly particularly. It's been the case for most of 2025. Every time I was asked about XMR over the past 2 years in the event mostly, I was always saying, do not trade that on lower time frame, stick to the weekly, and every time you have a weekly trend retests, it's a long. And it's been doing well. It gave a fairly big move after years of consolidation, 2 years. Respected the weekly trend all the way up, and with the move we've had early February, we've had a deviation below weekly trend. Maybe I can maybe I can highlight a little bit what I could be expecting to see. I think on XMR at this point, we have two main options. We have this is a deviation, weekly trend flips back support and it continues to grind up after this nasty leg down. Or we've just had the break of the weekly trend and we initiate a longer period of chop fest around it, a little bit like we did in that window, where we've had strong leg up with weekly trend defended, weekly trend not respected anymore, reclaimed, and then chop fest around it into slow grind. So I don't know which case we're gonna get. Short term, I hope that we could see a retest of the local highs where I would be willing to take some profit on the scalp. But on the, I don't intend to sell my XMR bags in any cases. So this is bags that I've accepted that I would probably never sell and hold 2-0 or not. It's the only crypto with Bitcoin where I can see myself with such mentality. I'm a delusional, romantic Monero bag holder. Um, Move fractal equals weekly trends lost slash disrespected into jump fest for quite some time. Green fractal equals weekly trend deviation into weekly trend continuation. Ah, Jesus. I'm getting spammed by a fake CL on Telegram. Hop. Okay, the trigger and main difference, I think, between the two scenarios would be whether 4015 plus reclaimed and defended. Likely the difference between these two scenarios. Okay. But yeah, beloved XMR bags. You know what? Maybe I should share those on CT also. And we're gonna do Aave next. Aave, which managed to find themselves into quite the drama lately with the recent hack and DeFi United bullshit or whatever. It's crazy because over the past few months, Aave kinda got fucked with the entire drama with one of the founder leaving, some of the OG's project leaving also, etc., etc. OG backers, I mean, leaving. While literally the only thing Aave had to do was nothing. The only thing Aave had to do was nothing, keep generating yields, keeping things safe as possible, and remaining major actor of DeFi with a good image, with likely a good institution view, and if/when eventually maybe DeFi would open its door to institutionals, they would probably go, and some have already go for Aave and go for the Aave ecosystem. Maybe it's still gonna be the case, but yeah, it's sad because it's always been a bag that I've enjoyed trading during the last bull market. It's probably one of the coins that I swinged the most amongst the bags of the coins that I swing the most from previous cycles outside of new coins. So yeah. Okay, I'm gonna do like this. I will share the direct links to updates from Twitter of the chat request we covered today. I will make a post also. At after the stream, listing all the chat requests we did. So Aave, Jesus, poor Aave. It's somewhere over there in my charts. I don't know if I have a place where you can still see my trades. Okay, these are the last trades that I took on Aave at the end of last year. This is a setup we took during last summer. We had a first attempt on daily trend continuation where we got fucked, it wicked into daily 200 MA, reclaimed it, decided to long again. It gave a retest all the way to our target 2, which was in insight a good exit, and then got fucked by the October 10. Not unfortunate for me, but fortunately for me, I got stopped out, and I didn't get stopped out with a big gap. It respected my stop on the rest of the position, but yeah, that was the last time that I touched Aave. And it's not something that I'm happy about, because when I look back in insights, after this 10-10 October move, the bounce back into the daily trends, how many times did it give an opportunity to short daily trend retest that I did not take opportunity of? Too many times. That's too many opportunities missed. But anyway, Okay, so AVE. Looks like shit, doesn't it? The best I can think of, looking at these charts, would be a reclaim of that level into a gap fill into daily 100 MA. We have just had a catalyst with all the DeFi projects coming out to say that they were backing AVE, buying some AVE tokens. If that was not enough of a momentum slash news to push for a retest of for a bigger bounce than this, then I'm not quite sure what will. So I would say that my main take, and it kind of reminds me of LEET that we covered yesterday. When we discussed LEET yesterday, the main idea that we discussed was back at the lows, but that I was not particularly interested in longing it, mostly because of the recent price action. A little bit like hype in a way, but obviously much lower and not after a strong uptrend, in the sense that, of course, it's at the lows, but even if I long it, my main expectation is to get a retest of that region that we almost got, with the recent failure to hold slash flip daily trend into support. And the main idea was, if I have to put some risk on the table into the market right now, do I want to take the bet that these lows are going to be defended into a retest of daily 100 MA? Or do I want to bid places where the daily trend has been defended already and that has been in daily uptrend? And it's a little bit the way I would see AVE right now. It's hard to justify shorting here. It's hard to, even if it's retesting the daily trends, you could have an argument for that, but kind of feels like shorting a little bit late. I would say that the main slash most obvious setup I could see on hype would be a daily trend continuation to the way down on the loss of the lows that's been defended since early April and during the incident, let's call it that way. Or basically a breakthrough local highs plus daily 100 MA into trying to capture a gap fill to daily 200 MA, which would be quite the bounce, obviously. And meanwhile, unless market completely shits the bed, obviously, unless Bitcoin goes for back in the range slash new lows, yada yada, I would not be surprised if we have a daily trend disrespected like this and some chalk path around it. Oh. That's the main take on AVE. I'm gonna check the lower time frame for those interested, but it's the main take I would have short term. Not short term, but on daily time frame, I should say. Man, I just got a blast from the past typing AVE in Twitter. May 2021, give daily close above 1778 on sushi and 500 on AVE, please. October 2024, AVE. Yeah. It's been quite some time. Just for the lulz. been a while I didn't check. 0.2 on sushi. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. Aave daily, and let's take a quick look at lower time frame if there is anything interesting or if it has. I'm expecting not to find anything. I'm expecting not to find a setup today by the look of it, but still. Yeah, okay. You probably had a setup if you were very looking to trade it on shorting H4 200 MA, but yeah, okay. Looks trappy to me. Looks trappy to me. Yeah, this leg up was pre-hack, right? That's when the hack happened, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Okay. So far in the chat requests, hype daily trends focus not retested not respected, XMR potential setup on H1 H4, Aave shit, unless new development of the story, unless new news or whatever, shit. Pengu, we covered it yesterday on stream, and the main thing we discussed was that one, I totally missed it. This was a setup discussed 2 weeks ago on stream in the Haven, or 10 days ago. The main idea was we've got to break through what was a very strong resistance. We recently have a bid in the NFT areas. Maybe Pengu, just like Ape, benefits from it. And the idea was if we get denied by this horizontal level, which was the breakdown level, then we want to long a daily trend retest plus this into their place. Unfortunately for us, it never came, but it goes deeper than this on how much I fumbled it. Because we also had the idea that if H4 trend was defended, and therefore if daily trend, if we didn't get any daily trend retest, then H4 trend would probably be a good focus. This was if H4 trend defended plus local highs broken, then probably forget daily based plan and try to ride on H4. And I failed to do so. But yesterday we covered it again, and this is the main idea that we discussed. There, Pengu chat requests H4. And the idea was let the H4 trend catch up with price, and if you get a week into H4 32 EMA, it's a long, aiming for daily 100 EMA over there. And I think it's still very much the case. Even more now that you have the weak low over here. I think you probably want to have a slightly wider invalidation, but pretty much this idea over here. So I will say what I discussed a few times on stream with you guys. I believe that on Pengu, the main idea is H4 trends until it doesn't work anymore, slash until gap to daily 100 MA is filled. So that's my main take on Pengu. If you're focused on Pengu, stick to H4 trend as it's been defended since 0.075, basically 0.075. I'm less of a fan of the recent consolidation compared to the one we've had last week. The structure was more triangle-like, which often is more interesting. You can see the structure being slightly different. You have a clear horizontal resistance. Over there, it's more of a rounded top. I don't know how much weight it has on the back, like Pengu, obviously, but yeah. That would be the main take for Pengu. I don't know who asked for it. Arn Sonk, if you're still around. The main view, in my opinion, is H4 trend focus. If/when H4 trend is lost, so basically if/when we start getting a break through this level over there that got tested earlier today, I think you get retraces and you probably get some gap fills down to these regions and probably down to H4 100 MA. and 200 EMA, which are going to catch up with price. And on upside targets, I think that filling the gap to daily 100 EMA, this is actually daily 200 EMA, would be a very good target. That would mean that you just got a weekly downtrend retest, basically. And unless you are betting on the current NFT bids to keep going, then probably a very good place to pay yourself. Yes, really clear. MA 300 too much far as a target in terms of retrace, you mean? Not necessarily. Could definitely. Oh, you mean probably more daily MA 300. That's a very, very big gap to discuss. Usually I like to go one gap after another before thinking about this one. Structure wise, I think daily 200 EMA makes more sense. And okay, I will say it another way. If we break through daily 200 EMA, I would not necessarily expect this turbo gap fill to be filled. But if we blast through daily 200 EMA and you get an opportunity to see this retested, this block over here, which was a strong support in November 2025, hit resistance ever since. If you get an opportunity, if you're still long above daily 200 EMA and you get a retest of this region, you pay yourself again. That before thinking about daily 300 EMA, this entire block over here, so basically the 0.013 up to 0.015 region would be the next big place to take profits. But yeah, in current market conditions, maybe go one step after another. But yeah. I'm aiming for 0.14 cents. I assume you mean 0.0 pop. And therefore that would be a retest of this region, the one we just discussed, pop G. So I can understand why it would be the setup, the level that you're aiming for as a place. The question is always, should I go for a home run or settle for a quick triple? It really messes with your head. Why do you have to pick? Why do you have to choose? You can, taking profits doesn't mean that you should completely getting out. You can very much keep some running. You can secure your initial setup, secure your initial position, and let some run. You don't have to make a choice. And finally, I would say it that way. Most often than not, paying yourself is a better idea than expecting a home run. Most often you will be rewarded paying yourself than going for a home run. Not every trade has to be a generational trade. Not every trade are going to be generational trades. And you can, as I said, very much pay yourself before that. De-risk the entire setup, taking your initial base, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I'm having a hard time with the practical part. It's awful, even though it's totally doable with the partial TP. I will say that the more you teach I don't know if you're journaling your trades, but if you're journaling your trades, I used to be like you, and I used to be good at buying, especially back in the days when conditions were much easier. to me at least, or felt easier. But I was trash to sell, and I believe it's the case for most new market participants, or even a lot of market participants. You always find a reason not to pay yourself. What if you tell yourself, what if? And the thing is that through the years journaling my trades, I realized that most often is a better discipline to have, or a better question to ask yourself than what if. And for the one time where it could have been a generational trade, most often it was a better decision to pay yourself. And again, if as you said, settle for a quick triple, if you made times 3 of your initial position on Pengu, just you partial TP would mean that you take half of it and you're already in, you are already securing good profits. But yeah, I'm not telling you should sell. I'm not telling you should not sell. Do as you planned, do what you want. All I'm telling you is that personally, as someone that's been in that position in the past, through the years, I learned that most often is a better thing to ask myself than what if. And again, as I said, you don't have to be 100% off, out, 100% in. You can very much settle with telling yourself, I'm taking a third off. I'm adjusting my invalidation as daily and H4 trend continue to develop. And in any cases, I will have secured some profits. But maybe, yeah, if you're not journaling your trades, I strongly encourage you to do so. And if you do so, try to have a column for aftermath of trades. What I mean by that is very often people journal their trades, and it's entry, size, risk, outcome, and then they never look back. What I usually like to do is I have an additional column where I come back to the setup a day after, 2 days after, a week after, and I write down how things developed. And it's been a very good way, for example, for me to realize that I need to respect my stop losses more. I used to doubt my invalidations a lot. I used to always find an excuse not to respect my stops, not respect my invalidations. And I was stopped out and I was getting back in, telling myself, what if I'm getting wicked out? And with this way of journaling, I realized that most often they are not, in that majority of cases, when I got stopped out, when my setup was invalidated, things went the other way. And you can have two conclusions to that. One, respect your invalidations more, if that's the case, if they are respected. And two, you can have an argument to come back to setups that were invalidated for potential trades in the opposite way. The first part, respecting my invalidations, I'm doing that infinitely better than I used to. The second part, flipping sides on setups that I just got kicked out, I still struggle a lot with. I struggle a lot to tell myself, okay, I got invalidated. I should come back to this a little bit later and see if I have a setup to take on the opposite sides, because my entire thesis of being long or short has been invalidated. Maybe I should have a setup on that way. And we've seen it earlier with my AV trade from last year on the daily. Long invalidated. It was a nice long. It gave us a 25% move on the very liquid position. I got wicked out. Great invalidation. It died after that. But well thing to respect the invalidation. But at the same time, I should have been short after that. I should have ridden that daily downtrend, which I did not. So I deviated a little bit from your question and from your post, but yeah, strongly encouraging you to take the time to see how the trades you took developed, and it's gonna help you a lot. Either adjust the way you set your invalidations. If you get stopped out too often, wicked out too often, it probably means that you should approach things differently. And if you get wicked out, stopped out, but they end up being good invalidations, it means you should respect them and probably gives you other opportunities. But yeah, sorry, I deviated a little bit from the discussion. But it's always an interesting thing, because I always like to discuss this because I know it's something I've been struggling with, I still struggle with, and that I know that it can be a big step for a trader to pass. A very simple thing on paper to just respect your invalidations, which sounds so obvious and which probably a lot of people are laughing about, but I probably a lot of people are struggling with also. My bigger is to not have trading journal. It's a common mistake in the sense that it's the I know some people in the market who are not journaling and they are doing very well. They are talented traders with yeah, they are very good and they don't journal that much. Like they have some things tracking their results, but they are not necessarily writing things down. But usually, I say main first tip I give to people is to do that for all the reasons that I just discussed. Realizing how your stops are going, if you're doing things great, if you should adjust, and also because I believe it also helps fixing a mistake a lot of people do, which is vibe trading or taking trades on the go, taking trades that were not initially planned, taking trades without a clear exit strategy, because you take the time to write things down. And I can't count how many setups I had in mind and ended up not taking because after taking the time to write it down, it didn't feel good enough and it felt forced and it felt like I was forcing a narrative, forcing a setup, succumbing to maybe a news, succumbing to maybe FOMO. I don't know, but yeah. So yeah, probably a good advice. I have a question from Popeye on City that I discussed with you guys about the Pengu setup. He asked, those weeks are a bit concerning. What do you think? Very much was discussing this on stream. The difference of structure between this consolidation and the previous one. Plus the relatively short distance to daily 200 EMA and fulfill the gap. Counter arguments being that H4 trend has been clean, been on the way up, but overall enough to size this much smaller, taking it. Okay, Pierre, do you feel like alternative assets are becoming interesting for the 13, 25, 32, 100, 200 system? Feels like oil, etc., trading like BTC a few years ago, while BTC annualized vol going lower. It's an interesting question. What I always say about my system is that I always receive DMs or questions about my system, and they're like, "Oh, I've been trading this in TradFi, or I've been trading, um, I've been trading, I don't know, FX or whatever," and I noticed that your imaginary lines are being well respected. And how do you explain that DXY is, for example, is respecting trends that well, imaginary lines that well when you go into higher time frames? And it's always the same answer to me. It's this system is fit to be to add. I'm not saying it works 100%. It's just imaginary lines on the chart. It's not gonna give you free setups, whatever, blah blah blah. But it's been it's what I've found to be respecting trending environment the best. So when you tell me feels like oil trading like BTC a few years ago, and therefore probably you're noticing that the system is respected well on these things you're watching, the answer is probably just, is it trending? Is it has it been recently trending? Has it recently got a lot of attention? And if that's the case, you're likely to see the system to be respected quite well, basically. We can see it on SPX, we can see it on, like, the system is absurd in many ways. the way, for example, the recent SPX retrace, strong trend, start to chop best around the trend, lose 100 MA, fill the gap to 300 MA, pick a bottom into new all-time high. You had this counter example last year, but it was actually just a weekly trend retest, also weekly 100 MA. The bear market before was in a similar situation. So yeah, you will realize the system to be well respected. Everywhere you'll see some trending, but again, this is just imaginary lines on the chart to help you notice patterns of trending, notice patterns of lack of trending, also notice patterns of reversal. But it's not gonna do the job, right? It's end of the day, it's the game is much harder than just respecting imaginary lines. But I know you know it, Midnight Alpha. But yeah. So what I think about it, what I do feel about it, I feel like it's a good state of where the world is in terms of where the trading world is. When you notice that everything is respecting a system that's been developed tracking altcoins 5 years ago, probably says a lot about the state of those markets indeed, that tend to be much dumber and much more brutal. But yeah, no bigger thought process than this, Midnight Alpha. I will not pretend that I have the understanding of what's unfolding behind all of that, but if it helps you to trade those markets, then it's a good thing, and use it until it doesn't, basically. Okay, thanks for all of this. This stream is fucking good for my English. Don't forget Morpho. Let's get to Morpho. Let's do it now. Then I will do chip, and I will have to shut the stream off for today. Yeah, we have Morpho and chip to do. Morpho, yeah, the last time I checked it was when it entered this situation. It looks good. I mean, it's at resistance, right? It's at the same resistance it's been stuck below since April, since March, early March. But it looks promising. I mean, yeah, it is 100% at Chobo's resistance, right? It's basically been the same resistance it's been stuck below since listing. Or maybe there is a place with more price history. Usually Coinex has more. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I remember that I had a chart with more price history for Coinex, for Morpho, sorry. I remember charting this in 2025. Okay, so probably the most obvious level to watch on Morpho. Most significant horizontal level since early 2025. The early $2 region, most significant. Horizontal level / resistance on Morpho USDT since early 2025, so for a year basically. So ideally from here, what we want to see from Morpho would be daily trend. So far daily, it's lost daily trend, filled the gaps to daily 100 MA, and instantly reclaim daily trend. So obviously what you want to see is daily trend being defended and some grind up below this level. If that's the case, I believe you have a good argument to position yourself before breaking through this level and in anticipation of breaking through this level. Otherwise, longing a breakthrough it into retest. But it does look interesting. I need to bring back Morpho to the watch lists. Okay, I already had it on the chart I already had it in the watch list, but I need to watch it closer. And obviously, if daily trend not defended, then probably retraces once again down to daily 100 It kind of reminds me, looking at it that way, it reminds me of there was a coin that was looking decent for quite some time and but failed to break out. Is it on my chart? I don't think it was Morpho. It was not MNT. It was not Monad. I can't remember. I charted it a few times, but I can't remember the ticker. It was not Sky. That's been doing great without me, unfortunately. It was ZDO. That's the fear for that's the main thing I'm fearing for Morpho right now. Is that it's here. You see? We can see some similarities. You have a year-long resistance, some choke phase below it, an attempt, a gap fill to 100 MA, an attempt of daily trends. Needs to avoid what ZDRO daily did recently. Take daily chart for comparison. Consolidation below yearly resistance with attempts. We failed attempts to defend daily trend to full retrace. If daily trends defended plus it's what it's 2 points, let's say 2.05 up to 2.20, 2.05, 2.20 resistance. Can long on the can long after some consolidation, while daily trends is as close to resistance as possible in anticipation of breakouts. Can simply set alerts above that yearly resistance and wait for it to break. This is the less, and obviously can make a mix of both with partial positioning into entering the rest on breakout. Obviously, then that goes without saying, but it's a bit of a stretch to ask you to talk about this. But if BTC keeps up its trend, I get the feeling that a lot of altcoins will go long easily, at least the strong ones. Possibly, I think it's always been, this is something I discussed in the event recently. I think it's been always the case, or at least since I've been in this market, it's always been a case of, and it's been more and more a case of not expecting alt season and picking your alts and the alts to trade very closely, very carefully. And the more the market develops, the more I think we are in this kind of situation. And if Bitcoin was to save the day, defend daily trends, and fill the gap to daily 200 MA, which is at 82, 83K over there on the daily, then I think we could see an additional leg up on some recent strong coins, maybe Pengu, maybe Ape back to the top, maybe Zcash retesting its local highs, maybe VVV printing a new high. Those kind of coins, maybe I going once again against me and printing a new leg up after once again me being unable to position myself. But I would not expect this to be a general move across the board. I think if we see this, we'll see it likely on specific coins and I don't think you want to turn into a bull dart, and I think that if/when Bitcoin fills its gap to daily 200 EMA, considering this confluence with the early year, the last year, the end of year, sorry, confluence support, if Bitcoin gives a retest of this region and you're in any longs, you have the duty to pay yourself and not fall into the bull trap. Not necessarily the bull trap, let's call it that way, but not to fall into the bull trap tests. And if that's the case, if you're trying to bet on altcoins outperformance, you're gonna have to be very picky, in my opinion. It's not necessarily a unpopular take. I would assume that everyone has this take, and rightfully so. But it goes without saying. But yeah, I would probably keep the focus I've had on my recent focuses, which have been ZEG, VVV, HYPE, and open to be focused on anything new. Like we just charted Morpho. Maybe Morpho can turn into a focus if/when it manages to get back above this level, basically on a daily basis. But yeah. In any case, it looks interesting, but it's below quite a clear resistance. But yeah, this is my main take for Morpho. I would probably go for the mix of both, but I would want to see it develop a little bit more. If I come back to Morpho in a week and it's still defending daily trend and it's compressing below resistance, I will probably buy a bag with invalidation and loss of daily trend, the usual. For now, I'm happily going to let it develop a little bit. I've noticed that with your system, BTC has done a great job of indicating bull and bear market in 2 weeks time frame. So I rely on it to tell me, okay, we might be on to the upswing. Yeah. I really like to focus on weekly time frame to judge my BAs and to base my BAs on the market. Historically, weekly trends in the system has been a very good indicator on Bitcoin. Whether it was the last bull market, the previous bull markets, this bull markets with weekly trends outside of a couple deviations defended from 21k to a significant break at 100k, bearish retest in January, current retest right now. And this has been my main view on the Bitcoin weekly time frame. I have two main. I will do cheap to finish the stream, but first let's discuss this weekly time frame on Bitcoin. I've discussed it a few times already. Let's see if Popeye answered before. Yeah, so I discussed it a few times, but 2 weeks is more relevant. Yeah. 2 weeks work well, but yeah, it's both are fine in my opinion, but it's even cleaner on the 2 weeks. I agree. But the idea is overall the same thing in any cases. It's just a different kind of gap fills basically, but it's the overall same idea. My main view on the Bitcoin weekly time frame is that it's a textbook EMA compression pattern so far, where we have strong trends, trend loss, gap fill to 100 EMA, 100 EMA breaks down, and we fill the gap to the next EMA, which was 200 EMA. And when we have EMA compression, and it's a reminder that I had on the top right corner over here, the main rule I have to consider ourselves out of the EMA compression is to see the trend defended outside of it, so above 100 MA or below 300 MA. We've had a lot of examples on Bitcoin, sorry, over the past few months. We had these small EMA compressions, daily 300 MA lost, daily downtrend respected. At the opposite, we had this daily EMA compression in early 2025. We have a deviation below daily 300 MA, instantly reclaimed, daily trend reclaimed. We break through daily 100 MA, and we have trend defended outside of it. But the cleanest one to me was the consolidation pre-US elections. We had strong trend, 100 MA defended, lost, filled the gaps with a lot of fakeouts, and all of the fakeouts we've had, you had attempt to exit the EMA compression, failure to flip, failure to defend daily trend, full retrace. Deviation below daily 300 MA, daily trend not flipping resistance, full retrace, and eventually compression coming to its end. We break out and the daily trend is retested 2 times, defended, and then we have the catalyst of the US election. So this is a similar approach on the weekly time frame, where we've had the strong trend lost, 100 MA lost. So that's my main rule. The main rule is waiting for the weekly trend to be defended outside of the compression, basically. And what you can see on green and red are 2 fractals. The first one is in green is the optimistic fractal, which is the fractal from SPX 2022-2023 small bear market over here, where strong trend cracks, 100 MA breaks, we fill the gap to daily, to weekly 200 MA, and then we consolidate for quite some time before reversing. So that in green over there, that would be a similar idea. We lost the trend, filled the gap to 200 MA, and then for the entire year, basically, we consolidate between weekly 200 MA and this must break / reclaim level of 85, 90K basically, and eventually resume. And in red, it's the most pessimistic scenario. It's a fractal from previous bear market on Bitcoin, where we filled the gap entirely. We deviated below the weekly 300 MA, but it was instantly reclaimed, and then bull market resumed. So that's my main view on Bitcoin weekly. It's been like this for the past 2 months, I think. I did not update this for a while, but maybe I can find it if I, oops. Maybe I can find it if I do this. The oldest I can come back to probably early February. Yeah. This was the initial basis of the setup, basically. Oh, not the setup, sorry, of the fractal. Okay, but anyway, let's move on. Let's do the last chat request, and then I will have to shut the stream off. Ah yeah, it's a recently listed shitcoin. Yeah, I've seen people share this one a few times on my chat recently. Not a lot to work with, but I will give you guys a small cheat code on recently listed shitcoins, especially on Binance. Very often the 100 SMMA is very well respected. That's the purple one you have here, which with enough candles becomes 200 EMA. But basically it's a trick to have it appearing sooner on the chart, and it's very often respected. But yeah, so not much to work with. Obviously, recently listed shitcoin probably have an argument for this wide region to be fought for. I don't know, I don't have any idea of the fundamentals of this or not. You can probably wait for H4 trend to be broken, I would say. You can probably wait for H4 trend. Let's say that it manages to consolidate and build some sort of a bottoming process, local bottoming process in this region, you probably have some time for the H4 trend to be flatter, lower, and give a shot on a break of the H4 downtrend. Yeah, I'm sorry, there is not a lot to work with, but that's probably what I would do. Set some alerts wherever H432 EMA is, wherever H1 100 SMMA is, and wait for it to be broken. Basically, it's been an H4 downtrend since listing, following the usual post-listing kind of retraces. So yeah. Oh, sorry. It's time for me to leave. It's time for me to leave. Yeah, no strong take on chip. I will share the chart in the chat, but yeah. For some Aven members, would you be willing to spend an hour coaching discussion? I'd really love to talk to you about trading journal, risk management, and best of all in French. We do some one-ones in the Aven. I know, for example, that Krillin does a few one-one, and they tend to be some of the best educational content in the group because it's always super interesting. The last one was late February, where he did a 1-1 with a member. So yeah, it's possible, but it's gonna be in English. It has to be in English. It cannot be in French. There are not many French people in the Haven, and it's English only content. So that would be only in English, but it's manageable, to be honest. It's manageable in English. It's fine. You have to train your English anyway. We have to stop being we have to stop only talking in frog language. But yeah, it's something that can be done. It's definitely something that can be done. And outside of the 1-1 session, there is a shitload of content, again, especially from Krillin in terms of risk management, journaling. Just his latest video. His latest video is about investing versus trading, risk and position management, consideration, etc., etc. So a lot of interesting content on that. And you're actually giving me a nice exit for the stream. I wanted to give you guys a reminder, the small Haven chill before shutting the stream off. We've recently did a partnership with OKX. That's basically the biggest discount that we've ever did and probably will ever do on the Haven, where OKX is buying half of your subscription for you if you follow 3 easy steps. Basically, you join the Discord, you use the ref link from the Haven to join OKX. You send us a proof of at least $1 traded, and then OKX is and then you can join the Haven with 50% discount on the first month, 40% on the 3 months, and 33% on 6 months. And it's OKX that is paying the discount basically. So this is the best offer that we will have. If you are interested, don't hesitate to check. You go on the Haven Crypto Twitter accounts and you follow these easy steps. If you're considering joining, then it's probably the deal to check. Outside of this, if you are hesitant, you don't want to join the paid version, don't forget that we have a free newsletter that goes out every week. In this newsletter, you have some snippets of the content that is being shared in the Aven, even some setups, some stream summaries, things like this. That can be a good way to see if the content we produce can be a good fit for you, if that can be interesting for you or not. But yeah, if you're considering joining, then use the opportunity of that. And if you're already a Aven member and you're considering renewing, like many of you guys, just do it that way. That will be cheaper. It's a good opportunity. Seize it. You only have to join OKX, complete the KYC, trade for $1, and you have 50% discount on your first month in the Aven. So it's a good deal. It's a good deal for a 10 minutes, 3 steps, things to do. So yeah, that was my only chill. I will share all of this in a post on Twitter right now with latest updates plus chat request covered on stream. And that way you have a place with all the links of everything that I shared today through the day on Twitter. If you want to get back to it from Bitcoin to the chat request we did, I'm gonna share this in the chat with you guys. If you want to give it a like or a retweet or whatever. And that's it for me for today. Before I leave, keep in mind the main fight of the day, in my opinion, as we head into FOMC and earnings, all of that, the main focus to have is the fight that we highlighted yesterday, which is H4 100 MA must hold. If it's lost, I believe that we are going to fill the gap to H4 200 MA, take some of these higher lows that we printed on the way up, and it's going to be a very big test. Whether it's defended or not, that's probably going to be the distinction between daily uptrend continuation or end of this bear market rally. And if H4 100 MA / as long as H4 100 MA is defended, the must break level is last week's support, which is 78K, which was retested this morning and denied. If you have to have any focus today, I believe it's these two regions, these two levels on Bitcoin. And keep in mind that you don't have to trade all the time. You don't have to trade everything. You can very well decide to take a step back and wait for FOMC and earnings to pass before making your next moves. And that the market will always be there tomorrow also. So that was my few reminders. Thanks for joining. Thanks for the question. Thanks for the chat request. It's been very interesting. The next stream should be mid-May. I'm not entirely certain when exactly, but I can't do it next week. So probably on the week of May 11. But I will let you guys know on CT and on Telegram for those who are on Telegram.